and we're going live.
So
and we are now live.
Okay.
All right, Coach. So
Begin again.
such great an hour and a half conversation.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, I haven't hit record yet. Sorry. My fault.
That's
so,
okay.
guys, we're sitting down with Coach Steve. I'm happy to call you Coach because it's awesome. We met in 2016.
Yes.
In Potchefstroom Discam.
Yes.
And absolutely awesome. So, sorry you gave so many great stories and I hadn't started recording yet. So
we could repeat them if you like.
Apologies. Please. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and a bit of your background.
Yeah,
then,
when I was younger, I was into sports like everyone else. But for me, that gym always kept calling.
Yeah.
So I hated the practices. I hated the wrestling practices, the track practices, and that sort. And I fell in love with the gym.
Those are things called cardio, Coach.
Cardio, yeah. Well, unfortunately, we like to just pick things up and then put them back down.
And until the plates can load themselves, we'll have to deal with that as well.
I appreciate an athlete so much because when everyone says we're athletes, I said, well, kind of. But more of ours is static strength at the time, not functional strength.
Yeah.
So that is one of the differences. But it's easier.
Yeah.
Pick weight up, put weight back down, caveman style.
That's it.
Yeah. But for me, when I worked out in an old YMCA in the basement with all these other cavemen that really showed us the way. You didn't even have to be told. You knew how to put away weights. You knew not to take your shirt off and pose around in the rear like a lot of them do now.
Yes.
It was, you're down here for a job.
Yeah.
Rusty weights, cold weather. Like it was character. It built character.
Smell.
A good smell. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
But at that time, even when I was down there training, I didn't even realize the work that I didn't want to do in the other sports at that time. I was doing down there.
Right.
To get better, and there was always a goal in mind. But that goal at the time was to be a bodybuilder.
Right.
But I could never bring myself to do it. And like I had mentioned before, there were certain aspects to be the best of the best that you needed to do something artificial to help that go along. And that was just never an option
Not an
of mine.
option.
So when I did reach college, I had a friend from another school that noticed the strength that I had, and he introduced me to powerlifting. Lou Babel. Yeah, and
you give Lou a shout out.
Yeah, give a shout out to Lou. Yeah, Lou was, and he was called that because he looked like a miniature Lou Ferrigno, and he got me into this really weird shirt at the time. It was called a blast shirt.
Okay.
Never seen one before, and he was putting it on me in our dorm room, and I'm claustrophobic in this
like,
thing.
What, you want a hug?
Oh, they were so tight, and we were laughing the whole way through. But it launched me into, with this powerlifting that I didn't know about, and from there I caught the bug, just like everyone else does. Yep. You go to a competition and you're like, oh, yeah, I won a trophy for just lifting weights. This is great.
Yep.
So it really did pull me in, and at that time I competed in quite a few organizations. The United States is known for the alphabet soup of organizations.
Yes.
If you don't like what there's going on in one, start your own.
Okay.
And
it's not even join another, it's start your own.
And sadly, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody now, but back then it's like, there's 4 meets this month in Ohio, one for USAPL, one for NASA, one for AAPF, one for and WNPF. Well, I'm gonna do them all.
Right.
There's these records, and some of them I could set world records at this meet. Well, I'm gonna do it. And I was never a trophy collector, but I like to collect those records.
Yes.
I didn't even need the certificates. It was just cool to see your name on the website.
Yeah.
And it was always something to strive for, especially, being in a lower weight class in a state. You might not have the depth of competition that you have internationally.
Yeah.
So you had to have something to push you.
Yes.
So that's what started it off for me. And then you kind of center in and you're like, ooh, there's something international. Yeah. And then what's the gateway there? At the time it was married up to for me, the ADFPA / now USAPL. So I felt like this is where I really want to be. No discredit to the other organizations, but I was spreading myself too thin, not getting strong enough.
Yes.
Padded. And now it's funny, now I might do 2 meets a year, and that's satisfying.
Okay.
Because you can get the proper training in between. As
I think you take your training more seriously when you have that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you can do a little bit of different things. You can do 2 different kind of training cycles as well. So yeah, definitely more of a benefit now.
And more longevity as well.
Yeah.
For the athlete and the coach.
Yeah. Well, sadly, as men, we all feel we're our own coaches.
Yeah.
There was, I remember a lot of bomb outs were happening, and Donovan Thompson came up with a really good analogy. He said most women who weren't bombing out, they do have coaches. And it's not that women don't know how to coach themselves, but they were smarter than the men. They would listen to other people instead of going, no, I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me.
Right.
Bomb out, bomb out, bomb out. So I think a lot of us need that. You know, even when you get up to this level, I caught myself a little bit. In this competition, I ended up bombing out in the equipped.
Right.
I did proper form, in the classic. Now, part of it was the training to try and do both.
Yeah.
And you can't get great when you try to do both unless you're an anomaly or you're really properly training.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need the assistant coach to tell you, hey, we're going to reel you in.
Yeah.
That strategy is going to be great.
Yeah.
Normally, but in this condition today, might be costly to us, and it was. So, but yeah, to go back.
And Mike was like getting teary, standing there watching you. He was really invested in your lift as well. It's amazing to see with your team.
Yeah.
You guys are all, really rooting for one another.
Yeah. No. And coaching didn't come for a long time, as I mentioned before.
Yep.
I started out.
How did you get into coaching?
I just had an affinity to be in the back all the time.
Okay.
My first world championship was in 2020, and back then it was only open, and so they did it in order. They did all the females first,
right,
from top to bottom in weight class, and they started with the men. But I was always lifting at the very tail end on that first day.
Okay.
With the women's team. Because the lighter weight classes, the 56 and the 60, they would kind of mash them in.
Yeah.
It's a small window for that open meet. But I was a denizen in the weight room, and in the warm-up area. So I'm like, okay, I'm in coaching mode now. I'm in handler mode. I'm in helper. I'm in assister. And I, put the shirts on, warm everyone up. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
A lot of people that know me know that your goals usually far exceed mine as far as me wanting something.
Yes.
I will put more investment into your goals than I will my own. Now, I've gotten a little bit better about enjoying the moment, but I used to be, okay, if it was a bad day, I dwelled on that, and it just sunk with me. If it was a good day, it was like, okay, whatever, what's next? I never stopped to smell the roses, as they like to call it, until one day when someone came up to me, and I'm like, it wasn't that great, and someone nudged me and said, just say thank you and move along. Be happy and enjoy the moment for yourself. But again, my greatest...
So you're very tough on yourself.
I know, I am. But I do enjoy when I can get somebody else up to that highest point.
Yes.
And it does take me really down when there's a defeat there. And I will hold that for a while. But my best memories are of other people's accomplishments in the sports because I enjoy it. And I think that's really that's the mindset that got me towards coaching. I was first an assistant coach officially under Dan Gaudreau. He pulled me along. He said, hey, we're taking over the Masters team. You want to be my assistant coach? Sure. I'm already built for that, I felt.
Yeah.
And then when he moved on, he handed it to me and Dana Rosenswag. I said, hold on. We're in Palm Springs. I go, let me go ask Dana one question. You want to be my assistant? He said, yes. I go, Dan, we're in.
Okay,
and
fantastic.
it just took off after that. So, it's been great to have that role. It's very taxing. And that's the other lesson I learned the other day when Sandrino Herder from Germany, when I bombed out, he said, did you not know you were going to be weak for equipped after all that lifting? And after all that
you're lifting every rep.
Yeah. Well, I did my own lifting on
as the
Saturday,
coach.
which went well. I took a silver there and was happy with that. But then, I know, my buddies.
Yeah.
But then after that, you're on your feet. Yeah. And I think what people might not realize is when you are invested in your lifters individually, and you move along from the one, move to the next one, it's a re-engagement of the same thing.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of emotional highs and a lot of emotional lows for me. So if you do great, I am like, I'm on nervous energy.
Yeah.
I'm running back, and you've probably seen it. Numbers in hand. I'm constantly computing in my head and multitasking and trying to get the right thing. And it doesn't always go perfect. But when it does, boy, it's an adrenaline dump. That's the other thing. Your body just goes through so much emotion. And when it's a defeat, regardless of how it happens, it sucks the life out of you. Mike bombed out today.
Yeah.
And we were trying to do, we played the right strategy for him, and it was just that lockout.
Yeah.
And so we spoke afterwards of things I think he can do to improve that I do, because I think my lockout's good when I can get it there. So we're constantly learning from each other as well. But yesterday, I'm still taking this one, the Luke Hannafin one.
Yeah.
Luke had, he no discredit to any of their competitors, but I felt he was the best out there. But we pushed, and the Japanese pushed along with us, and I'm like, there's no way. They missed the first attempt. They missed the second, which got overturned by the jury. He went from 205 to 217 and a half. I'm like, normally that's too big. Yeah. When you were on razor's edge already and missing. And so I didn't want to have Luke lose the bronze by me going too much. Yeah. Both myself and the Japanese coach were looking at each other. We both had 220 in our hands. And I said, you aren't getting it. Yeah. And again, this is a cocky thing on both sides, but I said, absolutely. There's no way. Match us. Let you beat us. Yeah. And he did. Yeah. And unfortunately, that happens. Conversely, it's been the opposite, where you play the right game and you come down and you force them to beat you, and they don't. And you're like, okay, you weren't the last lifter to hold the bar in your hand, but we got you the easiest lift that we knew that person probably couldn't make, and you still got your gold medal. Yeah. So I'm still harboring the Luke Hannafin one, and I went home. I sat with him. I'm like, I think I did everything right. Yep. In my heart, I wouldn't change a thing. Yep. But the outcome didn't come through. And he said, "This is powerlifting." Coach, chatting to some of your guys, they said after Luke, he's going to be carrying that for a few days. Yeah, maybe longer. Sometimes it's a year. Until I can get it back for him. So it might. Okay. Fair enough. But I mean, that's the thing with the coaching as well and the lifting. When I said I could see, because standing there as TC, you were lifting every single rep. Yeah. I think the athletes under pressure, from the moment they get that start command or they get the bar off, you're lifting that from the time the lift start. Yeah. So they walk onto that platform. Yeah. So a lot of times I try to put in their heads. Yeah. That is a good lift. Yeah. That's how we always hear. That is a good lift. Yeah. And I'm like, that's what you're going to see. Envision that in your head. And, obviously, there's a lot of rule changes that have been happening, so we're trying to be mindful of that. We had an individual come in whose elbows were too high. Everything had to be revamped. Yeah. And luckily, we have really great officials here. People think, those people are all out there to give me red lights. No, they really want you to do well. They really want you to do well. And so, luckily, one of the side judges that morning was coming by, and he stopped and he looked. He went, and I said, no. He goes, no. Her elbows were too high. Yeah. So we had to move her hands in. How's that? No. Move her feet out. How's that? We kept repeating. We're in the warm-up area right before we're about to lift. We're changing multiple things on it. Yeah. Because obviously in the U.S., our lifters are spread far and wide. Yeah, we can only get so much information. Yes. So luckily, everything turned out okay. But the stuff that we had to go through to get there, I explained to her mother and her aunt and her cousin afterwards. All that happened behind there? Yeah. Just for that little segment of time of lifting, all that happened. And again, as a coach, you're like, oof, these waves come through of emotions. And when they finally come off and they hit that gold medal, all the equation came into the, into the formula. The equation comes in and it comes out, and the output is perfect. Oh, thanks. May have had to go a few rounds to get to that point, but it works out, and you're so, invested, emotionally invested. Yep. You walk out, you're like, I'm so proud of this person. It worked. So it is tough. A proper roller coaster ride. Yes, a proper roller coaster ride. And I said, sometimes you're at the high, and sometimes you're at the low. And even when someone succeeds, you're like, some of it still didn't go right. You got to maybe get a little lucky sometimes, maybe get a little fortunate. Maybe a lift goes your way, doesn't go another lifter's way. But I've always said, if you stay in this business long enough, you'll get some good lifts.
You'll get some good
Turn
lifts.
down. You get some bad lifts. You'll get one.
Let through. Yeah.
Just gotta wait.
Yep, that's it, and it's time in the game.
Yeah.
You know, for you. So, what are you looking forward to going forward with your lifting and with your coach?
Yeah.
What
Again,
plans for
my
the
lifting
team?
has been, like as I mentioned before, I started out just down in the YMCA lifting weights for fun.
It sounds like someone's deadlifting.
Probably. They're doing some training back there. They got a couple spots. We've got a few people going to our national meets.
Okay.
So they had to curtail this competition, not so much sightseeing, get back to the States to get ready for our national meet. And that's unfortunately the way calendars work. You can't make everything for everybody because we're so deep now internationally with sub-juniors, juniors, masters,
So,
full meets, bench meets.
100%.
It gets a little overwhelming.
And then you look at Europe, which is just, they seem to have a comp every 2 weeks.
Well, and then we have the
And
NAPF,
you guys-
North American powerlifting. And
Sure.
then that's why there's not a lot of local tournaments that you should be doing if you're at this level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not about trophy hunting or being the big fish in a little pond. It's about concentrating on where you're at now and your level of lifting.
That's
But for me, I move around occasionally on training for the longest time, as I mentioned. Once I did a lot of old-fashioned 8-6-4-2-1 pyramids.
Yeah.
I thought this was the way to go. And then this mysterious thing happened in 2000 when I saw this gentleman named Alexis Sivakan come to the stage, and I'm like, wow, let me study this individual.
Right.
And regardless of what has happened in his time in the sport, he still was one of the best to watch and to compete, and the training really makes the difference.
Yes.
Performance enhancing chemicals, drugs, I'm fully against that. Unless you want to compete in some other organization, do what you want to do. But in this one, play fair. Norway's got a great thing, clean sport, play fair.
Play fair. Absolutely.
Keep that platform clean.
And I think that's so true, because there are other
you can go somewhere
federations
else.
or you can go and lift with.
Well,
so.
ironically, at least in the States, the people that do want to use and do want to have a choice in that, they're more angry when one of their own might come over to a drug-tested organization. Like, you can't beat us here? You're going to go and try to cheat over there? They don't like that. So they're harder on them than we would be.
Sure.
And not many people think like that.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is. But for me, when I met him, I wanted to see what he was doing. There was this mysterious Eastern Bloc training. Again, take drugs out of it. They're doing something different there.
Absolutely.
And it's not just Russians.
And because the doping does not affect their work ethic.
Yeah, work ethic and the
And that's a big
volume
thing.
that they were putting in. I read an article in Powerlifting USA by he was the one that Pavel. I can never pronounce his last name. Starts TS.
Tatsulin.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had an article at the bench competition that I was at.
Okay.
And it stated, to bench a lot, you must bench
A lot. Yeah.
Meaning volume. So I said, you know what? And he had the workout in there, the template.
Okay.
And I pulled that out and I started using it. And my
Because you experiment everything on yourself for your guys.
Absolutely. And so at that time, I wanted to see, and I never missed a lift in the gym ever. And there was something to be said about that. And I really felt it's not hurting my central nervous system. I can recover quickly. I can bench every day if I want to.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go that far. I was doing it 3 days a week. And the other thing is, and a lot of people have never said this in there, they talk about recovery. I like to think of the thing is, my body never knew what failure was.
Right.
Only at the meet would it know.
Yes.
I didn't miss a lift in the gym for over 3 years in training. And people would say, well, how do you know how strong you are? I go, I'll know at the meet.
Yeah.
My body doesn't know its expectations, because your body does know, just like it knows when to sleep. It says, here's a barrier that you hit because you failed there. Let's take a step back. In anything, it's like the Pavel's, if you read some of his book, it's a stair step. You don't go like this. It's like a stock market. You don't go like this. So when I met him and I brought paperwork, because he didn't speak English, I didn't speak Russian. And I put it down in front of him and I said, I'm doing this. And he looked at it, and there's improvements to be made on this. And what a nice guy. He sat down there, scribbled, arrows, down, don't do this, do this, Now I have a whole nother year of a new workout. And every year I'd see him, he'd help me.
Fantastic.
help me. And again, regardless of what happened to him, unfortunately, he can no longer lift in the IPF. But he was a great mentor and a great tutor for me to follow along with that. Now, since I've jumped around a few things, kind of done some West Side stuff.
Okay,
Louis Simmons, who's since passed away.
Yeah.
And again, his group did things differently, more aggressive, progressive types of organizations.
Building his own
and
machinery,
gear.
his own equipment, stuff.
It's revolutionary.
Yeah.
But once again, had some good ideas that, anybody can do.
His breakfast every morning with his team, best idea.
Yeah. But you've got to kind of keep your mind open.
Yes.
And I'm learning things today and yesterday. It's funny, they said, don't you know everything now? No, I'm learning things from the kids from the Netherlands. Jesse and Rebecca are teaching me some things, like different movements. I'm learning from Liam from Sweden. Going back to that bulldog grip. From Daiki, different movements. You've got to constantly learn to advance.
Right.
So, Yusuke Suzuki saw me. He's a good friend of mine as well from Japan, and he's taught me a lot. I've had so many good people in this organization, and he said, "You Americans, you just muscle it up. Like, where's the technique?" And I'm watching some of the Japanese lifters in their 70s, in the 74 kilo class, benching close to 300 U.S. pounds. How?
Yeah, how?
Technique. And now I'm learning, I'm old in the tooth, but I'm learning that maybe I need to make those changes. The old school stuff that I was doing before worked at one point, but now you want to be a better lifter, you might have to learn some new things. Part of it is taking my weight up instead of what I was saying before, finding the path of least resistance. And I would say to any kid out there, let your body grow, get stronger, because if you do what I did, you might miss your window, especially in the open. I missed my window in the open category. As I told you, the great Mike Hara said, hey, you're not going to win a championship. If that's what you want, you're not going to do it at 23, 56 kilos, again, old weight classes. You're not going to do it at 60, 132. You will do it at 48s, 147.5 kilo, or 147.8 is what it was in pounds, but the 67.5 kilo class, old classes for those new people. But I said, that's Civicon, the guy that I was just speaking about.
Yes.
Look at my numbers, Steve. At 23, you were, or at 32, you were at when you were 23. At 32, you were at when I was 48. If you go and get my numbers at 65 at 148, you will beat him. Maybe not. But I chickened out. I did what I thought was right for me to continue to be on the world teams. And what that did was go, here's your little bronze medal. Not that it's little. It's a very good accomplishment for anybody. But if you want that gold, it's not happening here and it's not happening there. Let your body grow and get stronger with it.
But you don't want to miss the team selection.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's
and
tough.
I spoke to, again, Donovan Thompson last year, and we talked about we're getting older. And so when we dropped down to those weight classes, many people might have seen, I dropped down to 59 last year to chase a gold medal. The toll it took on my body. And then to come back up, it's harder to get the strength back. So my mindset is to add a half a kilo of strength, of body, lean mass, every month maybe. Keep it slow and see if the strength comes along with it. I can always dip back down if I need to. But it's once again, it's time to grow.
The naughty smile when you say that, yes.
And so for coaching, I tell you, I really feel I'm at where I want to be. Like I said, it's not always perfect. I try to do the best I can from beginning to end, and I'm still modifying things. You should see the chicken scratch I put all over my paper as I'm guiding my team through there, and I'm looking at other lifters and calculating. If you look at my thing, I write little notes that I have that no one else could understand why those symbols mean something. But it's how much does that guy have left? How easy was it? Let's be conscious of that instead of cocky, because we might have to pull back and not lose a medal to somebody that's just really on that day. But even they surprise you. Sometimes it's that feather, just that little extra feather. All of a sudden, it's difficult to get. So, but I enjoy it. I want to continue doing it. And as long as my team wants to have me doing it, I'll always be there for them. And again, the biggest memories I have are not of my own goals, it's of theirs. I take home that first bronze medal. that first meet, that first PR, that first world record, it all means a lot. And I've had a few of them here, and ironically, they've come with the young kids, James Kellerman and Amelia Gherkin. They're so coachable, and even with their parents, like going, what's going on here? Or some of them wanting to know, well, my kid does that. Not going to happen here today. We're here to win the gold medal. So they might not get their PR. They might not come close to it. But the most important thing is to come home with that medal. I don't know if you know who Lance Slaughter is.
No, not.
Long time ago, Lance told me in my first one, you go here for a medal. You leave the PRs at home. But if you get one, it's nice.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do that. And the other thing is, my team will always ask me at the banquet, how do we do as a team? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, how don't you know you're the coach? Yeah. Because did I get the best out of you? Did I get the best out of you? Did I get the best out of you? And if all of them say yes, that's all we could have done.
That's it.
And if our team total got us enough for first, second, or third, then we should be happy. That's the best we could have done. Because I never want to tell my super heavyweight Joe Dybert, you have to not go for gold. Why not? Yeah. Because we need you to get a solid bronze or silver to get us the team title. When I've let all those other classes go for it.
Yep.
I'm going to let Joe go for it.
100%.
I want to see him get that. And a lot of it, the other part is redemption. When I see a lifter like Mike not get his lifts in, we're coming back for that next one. When I see Chris Walter tear his shoulder apart right before Kazakhstan, he won gold out here.
Yeah.
That's one year it took him.
Yeah.
And it's just having people like that and having their enthusiasm and having that's what wants me to help get them redemption. Or Joe Dybert, who I mentioned, not many people knew, he had a heart attack one year right before final nominations were. Now, this is how sick we are. This is how wired we are, man. He said, Steve, I need to talk to you. What's going on, Joe? He said, tomorrow's final nominations. Yeah, I need you to pull me from the competition. I go, you joking with me? He's like, no, I'm in a hospital bed. I just had a heart attack. You're calling me right now. You just got admitted. Yeah, because he knew how much it meant to get someone on the team to replace him.
Yeah.
So, ironically, I replaced him with that Chris Walter we were just talking about. That's how Chris got on his first team.
Right.
And he got a bronze medal there, and he's taken off ever since. And him and Joe are like that. Right. So 1 year later, when we hand out best lifters, because now we do medals, which is nice, IPF. I love that idea. We hand out plaques, one per team. And I've never taken one as a coach. I always hand them out. And they're handed out for different reasons. It's not because you were the best lifter. If we did, same person would get every time. It's like, I gave it to Joe that year, and that he came back. And everyone's like, well, he didn't do as good as... I'm like, do you know what happened to Joe? And you know what he did for our team the year before? That's why Joe's getting this. And the same thing with a Damian Franzaglia. 1 year, he could have taken bronze. But our gold medalist, Danny Thurman, was about to bomb out. And Damian went to him and said, this is what you need to tweak. And Danny won because of that. And it knocked himself, Damian, down to fourth. Here's the plaque, buddy. That's team effort. So that's the kind of people we have on our team, and that's what we kind of want to cultivate. My friend made his first world team this year, and he won a silver. I got one of my training partners, Gary Real, love him dear and near, and he sent me this message. He's like, it's quite a family you've created. That chokes me up because that's what it means.
And it's obvious. You can see it.
Yeah.
Just how you guys are all working together.
Yeah.
You flow.
We flow. We do. And you know what? It's all those people back there. I'll leave this on a final note. I've made many wonderful friends through this sport that are in other organizations. I look at the Sandvik's family, like their little daughter Leland. I watched her grow up since she was 2. She's like a little niece to me. I bring her stuff, and it makes you feel good to see these people. And that's why when we were gone with COVID and the USAPL suspension, for 3 years I didn't get to see my other family. My German family, my Japanese family, my Finland family. Now I get to see them every year, Coach. So it's cool. That's and you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Coach. I mean
absolutely.
Appreciate it. One thing.
Yep.
Why should someone get into powerlifting?
Oh my gosh.
This is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But
well, look.
Very briefly.
If you're good at sports, especially if you've been people in gymnastics backgrounds that know about leverage.
Yes.
If you're in sports like that, you should focus on this. If you're in CrossFit, this is another layer, especially if you're a master's lifter that just joined a gym and you're looking for things to do to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
Goals
and
keep
set
you
a
in the
solid
gym.
safety foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. This builds, I'm going to say it over and over again, though. It's about the camaraderie.
Yeah.
First and foremost. I'm rooting for every country out there. You don't want to see people bomb out.
Absolutely.
It might benefit you, but you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
You know what your athletes go through when it feels like for them.
And they want to beat their best effort.
Yeah. Look, my assistant coach is Dana Rosenzweig. One of my other good friends is Tom Senchich, who just walked by before when you made that comment. Yeah. Dana and Tom are in the same weight class. Tom's a little bit better than Dana. And Tom was about to bomb out. And Dana was like, I just want to take a fourth for the team. I want Tom to get his lift. Yeah. Again, here's the mentality. I don't want third, Steve. Well, you're going to get third. And I got him so fired up. I was throwing some swear bombs at him. And I'm like, wake up. And he's like, do you want this? I go, don't worry about Tom. Forget about Tom. Tom might bomb out. We need that bronze from you. Me and Dana work really well together, especially when I got to watch myself, though. His wife knows he's had shoulder replacement surgery. So, Bev, I got to take the heat afterwards. Why did you make him go that high? Ask for forgiveness later.
Absolutely.
And we always succeed together. That's why it makes us a good, cohesive team. But as soon as Dana got it, and it was so overwhelming for him, too. He got off that platform. My attention went right to Tom. I go, now take that bronze from him. And he did.
Okay.
So, and Dana said that was the best fourth place I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm a part of that. So,
I mean, that with the afterwards with the photos, I mean, that you can see there's love there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's so cool.
These people are so great. And again, it's it's the IPF family. And if you want to get into this sport, you got to really think about that. I mean, not everyone's going to elevate to a world-class level. But if you train long enough, we got some junior lifters going, oh, wow, it's over for me. What do you mean it's over for you? Well, now I'm an open lifter. And you see what they're doing? Okay, well, give yourself 5 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
Don't quit.
20 years.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Exactly.
Go from master 4.
I had heard a junior lifter saying, I can't wait to be a master. I'm like, slow down. You got a lot of life to live, man. Don't think about it. I'm afraid to go to the next master's class. I don't want to think about going from junior to masters. But, the old idea was that, when you hit your 30s, that's when you really build strength.
Yeah.
Look at those Russian Olympic wrestlers.
Yeah.
Going against kids and just throwing them around like rag dolls. There is something to be said about old man strength.
Old man strength.
Even when you're 30. Now I'm watching guys like, look at Dennis Cherry and Miss Jennifer Thompson. And Mike Hara, what I mentioned before, in their 40s and 50s winning open.
Yep.
Think about that. There's something to be said for that. You keep pushing, you keep building on it, and if you do it the right way,
and you focus on your recovery, your longevity, and I think that's what guys are valuing now.
Exactly.
Where they're just getting stronger.
And sometimes maybe you're not good at and again, I'll call it a functional strength sport. Maybe you're not a good football player, a baseball player. Maybe you don't have that hand-eye coordination. Come over to powerlifting. Push some weight.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you get in with look for the right coaches in your area, look for people that know what they're doing, they can teach you technique. They can all of a sudden, just through a few sessions, can improve your lift. And boy, that feels good inside.
Absolutely.
And that's what helps you keep going. But do it for the love of it. Do it for the people that are already in the sport. We enjoy seeing. I'm excited about our youth. And as crazy as the Swede kids are, I'm like, man, I'm loving their enthusiasm. It really builds a different kind of level. And
it was a lot of fun at the banquet.
Oh, yeah, quite fun. But yeah, they're amazing. And like I said, they're teaching us things. They're so tied into social media. Yeah. They teach each other things. And I'm one of those guys that I hate social media. I don't want to like everything. I don't want to friend everybody. I want to meet you in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to take anything away from that because it has its value. Yeah. But I want to be engaged. And so I've shied away, but now I'm realizing I'm missing a little bit because there's a learning lesson there or lesson.
You can also
to
keep an eye on your athletes if they're misbehaving with their lifting.
Yeah. But I try not to take a lot of value from things that are posted because sometimes you're getting the best. Nobody wants to post the worst.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you might get misled by other countries. You know who you guys are, you coaches. Send things out that aren't right. I tell my lifters, don't look at, well, he did this in training. I go, stop looking at that. See what they do at the meet. Because when that nomination comes in at 145 and they're opening at 165, you've been fooled, my friend. And they get it easily. Something's going on that they didn't want you to know. So some people hold back. But some people like to go, I'm this great, and scare everybody. Well, don't be too scared, because it might not, you know, we know us personally, it doesn't always equate to what happens at the competition. So
absolutely.
Anyway.
Coach, thank you for your time. Really, thank you for.
If you know me, I like to talk too.
It's wonderful.
I like to engage.
Absolutely. And it's been wonderful. Again,
it's great, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
We'd like to follow up in a couple of months. We can, you know, that's the one gift we got from COVID. Where we can do the online stuff if that's good with you. Okay, fantastic.
We'll keep in touch.
Excellent.